Put on your pumpkin pants and welcome to yet another episode of the Nen Show Podcast. I'm your host Craftsdwarf, and this is my co-host Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
That was your intro, huh?
Yeah, it was. You probably had something prepared, but I just completely broke it. So, all right. Let's get into the comments. We're almost done with Soul Eater. So you had comments for a change. So go ahead, Mathwiz.
Yeah, it's funny. This episode got less comments, but there's more that I'm like, oh yeah, that I can respond to that sort of. Now wait, where did they go?
I might keep in that pause just for the, because I was waiting. Here's Mathwiz with a comment, and then silence.
There were a couple ones that mentioned the third scorpion themed,
or the Gorgon sister, right?
Yeah, the Gorgon sister, being the antagonist in Soul Eater Not, which I guess is unfortunate because I don't think we'll be getting to Soul Eater Not. But
yeah, I mean, maybe if because feel like the reading might have been better if we had last episode's reading maybe should have ended with the Baba Yaga castle invasion, so it would have been longer, but
yeah.
it still probably would have only been a 2.5 hour episode, and then this would have been the last, so it would have only been 3 episodes and then 4 if we did Soul Eater Not, that maybe we could have done, but in retrospect, hindsight 20, but oh well. So go on.
But also in the top comment by Ernesto Torelli, mentions Marie being
yes.
a positive counterpart, to Medusa, as far as being an actual sort of mother figure who cares and isn't gonna abuse Krona,
right?
And then with Stein
yes.
as being more of not tempting him with the madness or whatever, and being
that one I should have noticed because Krona I didn't pick up on for some reason, but with Stein it's that's literally their effects on him as the the weapon, basically, that, and that was a big thing in the last stretch of chapters where Medusa's influence, magic made Stein worse, and that we see them come back in this stretch of chapters, and guess what, Stein's better and more balanced because Marie's been with him, so yeah, should have. Pernell had a good note on Noah, pointing out the whole thing with Noah's using the Book of Abun, which we find out the stretch chapters that Arachne is she was the mother of weapons, but then she's just using the book, Abun's book, so he's kind of the father of witches in a sense, and Noah's so Noah having that name is Noah's Ark, the animals, and the witches all have animal themes, so I was like, oh hey, yeah. I have one more. If you have any more.
Well, what is yours? It might be mine. Yes.
Okay, so is that your last one?
Yep.
All right, then go for it then.
Oh, well, Echolocation just mentioned how kids' desire to be perfect like his dad is kind of ironically what keeps him imperfect. And even from the sense that what was it the thing about his the stripes in his hair? Yeah, it's even in his body where because when I guess one thing I thought of reading that comment, I don't know if it's going to be gone into in the future, is because if you see it if you see Shinigami as perfect, then Kid's relationship is a result of Shinigami with another person. So Kid is literally less perfect because he's got half of someone else's genes in him. So he's fundamentally a different person simply by having another parent figure, even if we haven't seen or I don't mentioned so yeah, it's literally in his body, with how his hair rejects dye, that he has the stripes that are genetic, but he can't dye them either because of his body, so yeah. But yeah, I guess that does it for comments. So getting into the reading, so we start off picking up from last time. Kim and Jackie talk about being witches, and they even very quickly, Jackie mentions how they're DWA students, and abandoning friends is something that they don't do, so that even though they're witches, they're still taking from the ideals of DWA because that's where their students at, so that's where they closely align. But as we see how it turns out. So, and yeah, it turns out that there was some at the Hostess Club that Maka's dad goes to. 2 of the witches there were feeding information to Arachnophobia, and they get arrested, and then they try to go for Kim
and Jackie, because they have a information source, basically. Also, I'll highlight in more detail, but the art the art is definitely really good by this point, because there was some really cool stuff going on.
Yeah. The art was very noticeably great in this stretch of chapters.
Like the one that reminded me of that was this one panel where Maka's thinking about Medusa, and Medusa just looks fucking crazy and stylized, and the arrows, and I'm just like, damn, that's a good visual, of like Maka's mental image of Medusa. And I just realized, yeah, there was some good ass art this stretch. So, but anyway, the school, tries to, like, they even say that they're gonna hear Kim out, but Kim just immediately, like, retreats. And, which is completely understandable since, like, the school has been so against witches, then, like, she has no reason to believe that they would do that, because, that's just, it's just this fun, like, there's even a whole thing, like, witches and, DDMA, maybe they can't get along. And we even find out, like, later, like, there's things about witches that do make them fundamentally, like, opposed to DWMA, but even if Kim and Angela are relative exceptions. So, like, I think I was going to say something else, but I forgot. But yeah, or I guess, no, that was what I was going to say, where, yeah, like, it just completely makes sense that Kim would assume, even though, like, she took, the DWMA words to heart about, not abandoning her friends, and at the end of the day, Kim wasn't going to be abandoned, but, she assumed otherwise because it seems as like, witches can't be friends to DWMA, so it's a contradiction, so, yeah. And then, of course, fucking Mosquito and Arachne abuses the situation for their gain and are just completely draw in the two. If they're turned away by the people they want to be, then, well, they're witches, so they'll go along with another witch. Anyway, we find out who the information leak is. It's fucking Medusa.
Yeah, this is where I'm not gonna get too deep into like anime spoilers, because
there was a comment that actually went into a bit, but go on.
But yeah, like, this is where like, the thing about, like, Medusa turning herself in and there being kind of a connection there, that is kind of like the last thing that gets adapted into the anime, okay. And then it goes off in a different direction. That's why I wasn't sure if I wanted to mention it last time, because I wasn't 100% sure if we had gotten through everything.
Now at this point, like, because apparently, or what the comment said was that, like, parts of the Baba Yaga Castle invasion are adapted, but it's handled differently to be anime original, because I assume, like, yeah, the arc was probably still ongoing when the anime was concluding, basically. So,
yeah, like, well, basically, like, the Kishin shows up in the anime and is, like, involved in that arc.
Okay.
I won't say how it ends, but, he shows up and he's there. So that was a pretty big alteration. But I guess, like, at that point, with the anime, like, trying to wrap things up for, like, an anime original ending, it makes sense to break, because really the Kishin hasn't even shown up yet. It's just been a lot of people mentioning him.
He left, and he's been he changed that incident changed, like, everything, but mostly what we've seen so far is the witches and we find out kind of what they want too, is they want to soul resonate with him. He hasn't showed up himself yet. But yeah, Medusa gives them an offer they can't refuse, so to speak. Though they do take some time to, like, think about it first. Oh, that's right. Maka does go to see Medusa, but first there's like a fan service bath scene, and then there's a man service bath scene, so I can't even be too mad, because it's like, alright. Though we get some Ox moments, because he gets, honestly, maybe one of my favorite moments this stretch of chapters later on, during his fight. And this is kind of build up towards that. So one thing I just realized, because I'm looking over the scene where Maka went to the prison to see Medusa again, and they barely have a conversation, if you could even call it that. But Medusa only says a couple things, but Maka, she basically knows what happened, and because she even says, she says she knows Medusa did something. But one thing I kind of realized is because later on we see Medusa kind of like manipulate things, like she's like, what kind of mother would, Krona's been captured by Arachne and is about to be used as a human sacrifice, like what kind of mother wouldn't want to save their child? Like, she uses the fact, like, she knows, like, Maka basically comes up here and says, like, she cares about Krona, and Medusa, like, is able to come up with something to abuse that knowledge, basically.
Yeah.
So, God, Medusa's such garbage. She's great. I hate her. I love her. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, Maka's dad comes in to accept the deal. Medusa had even given them brew. There's a part where, like, Medusa's freed from the bonds and Maka's dad helps, like, dust her off, and he's just, like, from his fatherly instincts, and Medusa's like, I'm not actually a child, like, but I guess, you know, it makes sense, because, like, you know, throughout this part where she's, you know, being deceptive, she has this form that is more, you know, innocent and, you know, it purposely helps, like, everyone to let down their guards around her, I suppose, because, you know, she looks like a child even though she obviously isn't one. But and of course when the ruse is dropped, she no longer looks like a child anymore. So, and I guess going back to her looking like a child thing is like, yeah, Shinigami, like, she's like at least 800 years old, like, you know, just like him, because she was there back at that time period. But Shinigami does a Shinigami chop on her, which is really funny. Like, major antagonist of the series, she just gets a chop on the head, just like all the students.
Yeah. I guess it is kind of an interesting scene in that you have Medusa, who's been, like, the great manipulator. She's moving all these pieces, controlling the puzzle. And then, you know, in this scene, she's just completely, like, made fun of. And a lot of jokes at her expense and whatnot, and she just, like, can't get control of the situation.
Right, she's dragged into their pace, like, she's getting mad. Well, and it's fun because, yeah, it's like, because before, as a nurse, I don't remember her having very many, like, goofy interactions like this, but now that she's, like, out in the open and honest, she's also taking part in all the shenanigans, even if it's, like threatening to kill, like, she pulls out her arrows and she's getting pissed at, like, I swear I'll kill you, like, for Maka's dad. And stuff like that, and it's silly and fun, yeah. But yeah, she gives her terms. We go back to the castle, and I was thinking about it because, like, the morality manipulation machine was mentioned, but it wasn't used. Oh, and now it's been used, so there it is. You know, I guess part of the reason we should have done this is part of the last reading, but oh well. So anyway, Medusa explains her plan, and the fucking thing that gets me about, like, because she says, like, oh, we need someone who's good at soul perception, someone who's good at making clear-headed decisions, and someone who's got sheer brute strength. Like, she's basically asking to bring along the main characters, which is also interesting because, like, that's not actually how it works out. Like,
yeah,
because Ox and Killick come instead. Those, yes, a Kid and Black Star end up there, you know, but for different reasons. So it's kind of interesting because, like, you read it and it's like, oh yeah, it's just, you know, a way to send all these main characters here, but then that's not how it turns out, but that's also how it turns out. So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting. And of course, immediately I'm suspicious because it's like the way she's like I said, she's basically asking for the characters to be there. But, you know, like, especially Maka, because at the end of the day, like, she wants to use Maka's abilities to help defeat Arachne, but also, like, you know, kill Maka because she's dangerous. You know, because her soul perception abilities are so good. But, so, like, but the fact that she was, like, I could, you know, she's not directly, like, saying, yeah, we just need Maka Kid and Black Star. But she's, like, by saying it this way, she's, like, you know, she's definitely pulling, like, it's manipulating by making having other people make the choice that she wants them to make, but when they're doing it, when they're making the choice, it seems like they have the agency, when really, like, she's not aiming for that in this, you know, or
yeah,
like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was the same thing when like Maka's dad had to take the chains off her. He was like, you could have easily escaped these yourself. And she's like, that's not the point. The point is to get you to do it.
Right. That's a good point, because I didn't think about that. But yeah, it's exactly. And because I was definitely on Soul's side the whole time, where I'm just like, yeah, I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her. But I was just waiting for, you know, the snake fangs to bite at some point, you know. And they did, of course. But I was still like, you bitch. Anyway, Black Star is still training, so he's not able to join. And yeah, like, they assemble a team, and, you know, Kid comes along anyway as you know, to keep Medusa in check. But anyway, they head out on their mission. And yeah, they even get in a fight against the thing, and Medusa's like, legitimately helping them because she's playing her part really well as like she's like I have to protect you because we're on the same team. So oh yeah, they find out about the or Maka senses there's like a bear and a monkey following them who are Kid explains they're DWMA who are there to watch Medusa. Kid accidentally reveals that he has brew. Okay, here's the fucking part. Maka asks Medusa about Krona. Medusa lies her fucking face off.
Yeah,
I won't allow Arachne to do that to my baby. Oh, now you're Krona's mother. Okay. God. She's terrible. Oh yeah, there's some shenanigans as they're they put on disguises to slip into the castle and like immediately split, like are forced to split up, and it's silly.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely a good opportunity to, like, if you were gonna fit a levity, jokey chapter in there somewhere, like, oh yeah, all the characters are, disguised as these random people. They could get into any sort of weird shenanigans, and you wouldn't. It was also it had kind of like a mystery to it, because it's like, well, who even are the characters in these scenarios? Oh, it's them. Like, there's the part where the two of them have to like babysit. I forget her name, Angela, the little witch. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, who are these two? Okay, well, one of them was Soul. It's like, oh, aim right down the middle. Okay, so it's Kid.
Yeah, so it's like, you can't tell who the characters are by their really striking designs, so you have to do, tell by their, distinct personalities, which is, it's fun in its own way. And, well, I mean, some, like, Killick stands out because he's got the two, fire and lightning with him, and they, forming, like, blobs on his outfit because, and Ox has, like, horns, so, but yeah, no, it was goofy and, fun.
Yeah, I like how there's the one with Maka, where she like, oh, my identity got revealed, but the guy like doesn't even notice her, or like who she is.
Right. He either didn't well, I forget if I don't know if it was stated, but I don't, because if it's because he didn't recognize her, if he pretended not to, or that would be no, that doesn't make sense. It
could have been like maybe because I wasn't sure if it was like he didn't recognize her or he was just like, oh, she doesn't matter, like she's not a threat or whatever.
Yeah, that makes
it could have. I guess it could have been either of those. Yeah, but I did like how that ends up coming back in later because the Thompson twins show up. Or not twins, the Thompson sisters. They show up, and they go off to have fun times. But they took him out of commission. They tricked him.
Yeah, because he doesn't show up for the rest of the arc pretty much. So yeah. Okay, I did like this alt joke when they get back together and Kid's like freaking out and he's like, "Can I ask you a question? Are we close to the center of the castle, or at least near the center?" And Medusa's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, thank God." And Medusa's like, "We're not close to center at all." Like, I just thought that was funny because it was dumb. But like kids think stick doesn't get me all the time, but that one I think got me because it's not just his stick; it's also Medusa like playing into it so that to keep him calm, basically, because he's such a wreck. Anyway, wow, I can't believe Ohkubo ripped off Horation's face and like there's one thing in each of the legs and they gotta destroy all. No, I'm kidding. This one probably came I don't know, they would have been around the same time maybe, so I don't care. I just thought it was funny because I only just realized that. But no, it's still a good way to get everyone like involved and active, and by having all these goals, like they have to break all the legs so that Maka can get in or anyone can get in to fight Arachne. So. And also Medusa gets to split up the group so that she can move more freely if need be. Anyway, Ox on the way... Oh, there's like a moment where there's like a divergence in the path and Ox senses Kim down one of the paths. And Killick kind of forces him to go down because he knows how much Kim means to him. So he's like... And, also she is an ally of theirs who, escaped and is now in Arachne's clutches. So it's like, Killick kind of forces Ox to do it. And while he takes care of the actual mission... And so Ox does run into Kim. Does that lead all into the fight? No, that's not what happens right away. But we do see the results of the morality manipulation machine, where she just doesn't care about DWA or anything anymore. So,
Yeah, at first I was a little kind of on this plot point because Kim is already like a new character who we don't really know anything about. But I don't feel as if like, oh, her morals were manipulated, therefore it was no character growth. Like I felt like it's still, I don't know, it worked well enough.
No, I definitely, like I said, the Ox versus Kim was probably like one of my favorite moments from this stretch. But I'll talk about it. But anyway, there's a whole fucking there's a big crazy shit is happening outside. There's like a giant like fucking like someone's tearing it up outside to head to the castle. It's fucking Black Star. Holy
Yeah.
shit. That's an entrance, I suppose.
It's really funny because like in the one arc, the last arc that he did this, it was like him showing up was a distraction that let the people do their mission, but I don't know if it necessarily like ruined what Medusa's mission, because they would have been found out anyway. But like, you know, he shows up again in a place where he's, you know, completely not part of the plan. Like they were gonna try to bring him along, but he was MIA at the time. But then he came back.
Right. And now he's you know figured out his sword. Immediately gets into a fight with Mifune. You know, and he sort of talks with Tsubaki's family about like, you know, is he going to like, there's the path of the demon towards a Kishin, which is like, you know, because Black Star wants to get stronger, and you know, in theory, he'd be able to get stronger by, you know, throwing away everything. But at the same time, Black Star does, like, we even see it established is like, yeah, he wants to be strong, but he wants to do it his way. Like, he's not so, you know, like he wasn't willing to kill Mifune and Angela because, you know, he's not just going to kill a child. Like, you know, that's not his idea of, you know, getting stronger. And even though that's the one that's accepted by the school, like that's even the accepted path, you know. So, where the Kishin, the path of the demon isn't accepted, but you know, they're still fearing like, is this the path you're going to go on, Black Star? Because, but he's, you know, he just wants to do it his way, whether it's, you know, right or wrong necessarily by the system. Like he's very, I guess, very much like an individual in that sense, I suppose. Which I guess is also interesting because like he's you know, he comes from this family and he's been hated for, you know, being born to the family. He can't come to the Star Clan. So also I like the conversation he had with Tsubaki about the like the stars in the night sky, because he's Black Star. So like Tsubaki would say, like he's both the night sky and the stars, where he was saying that he's the black sky and Tsubaki is the stars. So, I forget if I had anything to take to more to say about that. I think I did. I swear I did. Oh yeah, that's what okay, cause like we see he has a thing with the spirit, or the deer spirit. I forget what it's called. The will of the clan, I suppose. Yeah. Tsubaki's family. And like it makes Black Star feel like the pain and regret of the people who were like Black Star, who wanted that strength but couldn't, you know, make it. And he's like, you know, he decided to take on their goal and you know, accomplish the warrior's path. You know, or he wants to become a warrior who brings the dead back to life. And I guess I tried to read that into the night sky thing, where if you know, Black Star is the night sky, then you could see the lights as the people he's like taking on, so to speak, or you know, maybe, I don't know, came to mind. Did you have any thoughts on Black Star versus Mifune 3? Round 3.
I mean, yes, but it kind of cuts around.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Like other stuff ends up happening in between.
Because
I will at least say that, like, you know, this is definitely one of the. I mean, the art as a whole was pretty strong this whole stretch, but like between this and I don't know, this is where like I think it's interesting how Ohkubo is doing a lot of stuff with like shadows coming off the characters. Like it happens with Maka's big power up, and when Black Star comes back, he's got like just like this trail of, well, obviously it's like part of his ability too, but it just looks really striking having like just like the shadows like dripping off the characters sort of, and just I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it makes him stand out.
And the way he like it's kind of like choreographed. Is like you almost don't like how my friend Vindy has described it, mostly with Fire Force, I guess, or maybe probably with Soul Eater too. It's like you almost don't need animation because the fights are so clearly choreographed. You could basically see it, you know, like and there it's yeah, it's definitely cool, and the art's definitely good. But
I really like this one page where he does like the one of his forms, and he's got like the chain like spiraling out around him, and then he's got this like big sword thing. It just I don't know, it just looks very striking.
I looked back and saw the one you saw. It does look really cool. And yeah, he's got the weapons are cool too, you know, so that helps. And like having like a transformable weapon, like it makes for it makes a really cool and dynamic fighting style because he can have various weapons without like necessarily like the logistics of it, you know. Where like Mifid is also kind of versatile in that way because he uses the infinite one sword style, so he can kind of use as many swords as he needs and he does like I keep thinking about the one in round 2 when Blackstar's using his chain weapon and then Mifune uses like 3 swords to pin down the chain, and then like he has as many swords as he needs basically, so he could do a lot of versatile stuff with it. And I don't know, it's a cool fight between two people with cool fighting styles, so it just looks really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, it cuts around a bit, so yeah, so I guess now we get to the end of or the actual fight between Ox and Kim. Did you have things to say about it? Because I definitely did. So,
you probably have more interesting things to say than I do.
I mean, I mostly just liked it. Like Kavar, kind of like, or what's his name? I think or Harvar. Yeah. Like he's kind of like immediately like he's closer to the actual system of DWMA where he's just like, yeah, she's a witch. Like she was just pulling the wool. Like the fact that she was deceiving them makes her wrong, even though she had legitimate reasons to deceive them.
Yeah.
So the potential morality manipulation doesn't even matter to him, basically, because she's a witch, and he's like, well, I got to protect Ox, and because Ox is risking himself to rescue Kim, basically. And then I'm considering later information too, but we do find out a little bit more about like Kim as a witch. Like, so she's a Tanuki, which is a shape changer and stuff like that, which is fitting for she was in disguise for the her role at DWMA, and that's her animal thing, of course.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But then
I didn't consider it from that angle.
That's I think I just realized that, as I ought to do. But we also find that like we learn more about witches where witches have a natural pull towards destruction, and so like which would make them fundamentally dangerous because kind of like Stein in a sense where even though he's contrasted with Medusa, but they're still both like pulled to do this thing. Medusa wants to destroy the past and go forward, where Stein wants to destroy and dissect what's already there. But Kim's actually we find out she's the opposite, where she restores things rather than destroys things. So she was actually like out. So part of the reason she was pushed to DWMA is because she was outcasted by witches, basically for her differences. Because like she's not grabbed by this pull of destruction that makes them enemies of the DWMA. So
yeah.
But what I liked about the fight is like she's even been, I guess like you could also see it as a contradiction because, she's been changed by the morality manipulation machine, but like during the fight she even cries, and because she's like, oh yeah, and I guess, okay, well, and I'm rereading the lines and it's saying like her being affected by the morality manipulation, the machine makes her more like an actual witch. So she's sort of been like forced to conform to those who initially rejected her, like, as she should be, sort of, more or less. But then she's also talking about how, like, oh, yeah, she can't change, She's, like, just accepting that as fact. And Ox contradicts her because his 2 pillars that he stood by, he rips them off. And I was like, holy shit. Because he's saying that, if, okay, I can change. And, he even says, like, well, if DWMA can't be your home, I'll make sure, will you let me be your home? And I don't know, I just liked it. And we even see later after the time skip is he doesn't have his like bald and 2 pillars anymore. He's just got normal hair. Like he changed.
Yeah.
So like And she kisses him on the nose, and they're blushing like idiots, and it's cute.
Yeah, that was very cute. He does still have like the two pointy parts of his hair, the two pillars, but like he's not shaving his head anymore. So like it definitely is. Because like I don't know, you don't want to remove that striking character detail, I guess. So that I don't know, but I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean he definitely still has his glasses, so he's instantly recognizable. But yeah, no, I was I liked this moment a lot because it was just a good contrast, and Oxy changed and it worked. It was cool. Like it was cool. Like yeah, I just enjoyed it. If you had anything else to say that I didn't cover though.
I mean, I definitely think it's one of those fights that's more interesting for the ideas that it puts forth than necessarily I don't know how really to phrase
the
it.
Actual if you think about like the fights, like I couldn't tell you anything about the actual fighting. Like they just sort of fought a bit. Like yeah, if that's what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, like the fight and even the characters, because
I don't know.
I like because there's a degree to which like, Ox has all these feelings for Kim, and that is like, I've always felt this way. But with Ox not being like introduced, that like he was there, but like this was something a more recent sort of development in the story, which again, it's fine. Like it's got ideas going on, and it serves a purpose.
Well, I definitely
but in the sense
that
like
mindset
I don't really like fully commit to like, this is such a well fleshed out relationship. Like I don't know how to phrase it, because I'm not saying like it's poorly written or anything. Like I do like how it conveys the ideas it's going for.
Like I'm not saying you happen to feel this way, but what you're reminding me of is kind of the thing that MJ gets. Like there was the recent fight with you. I don't know if you caught up with season 4, but I know you watched past this. Kirishima's fight, where like this is the part of the manga. Like he's been in the manga for like over 100 chapters at this point, but this is the part where you're supposed to like where you finally get his context and understand. So like I walked away from rewatching.
Yeah, and it's like that with these two.
Right, like this is where they're getting their characterization and their major stuff, because like this is where we learn about Kim's thing. Like, and yeah, they had like mostly like your previous relationship, like it was mostly Ox's unrequited things towards her, and this is where we're starting to move forward with them. So yeah,
I think it's more of just like a nitpick on my end on like fair. How I personally like to see romance and stuff like integrated. So it's not necessarily the story is doing this poorly. It's more just like it's not necessarily what I like.
Yeah, it was just the way you phrased it made me think of the kind of people who say like, I don't care about Kirishima, so why should I care about this fight? And it's like, well, this is the fight you're supposed to care. So that's what that's
why I was trying to be careful with like how I phrased it.
That's what you reminded of, but that's not what you're saying in the first place, so never mind.
No, I do get it, because I guess like there's a degree to which I don't know. It's definitely a valid, I think, potential criticism to like bring up from your end. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just bad at words.
Well, it's a discussion. Like a script is going to be more like whenever I make a video that derives from the the discussions we have on the Nen Show. Like I haven't even re-listened to it or anything, but I still cringe when I think about what I said on the Sabaody Archipelago one of One Piece, because if you like re-watch that and then watch my Luffy video, it's like night and day in how much more I understand it, because when you have a script you can sit down and you think about it more and you add more to it than that you didn't think about before, so it's just
like I definitely had that too, like just recently when I put up the Togashi's trans characters videos. Yes. Like I talked about, I think I mentioned to you how like, here's this one part where we kind of waffled for a few minutes and I turned that into like something cohesive.
Yeah, well,
that
in general, like your video was probably longer, like, or I don't know how long we were talking about it on the discussion, but and that was just the Yu Hakusho. Well, we talked about it throughout, so we probably have more minutes combined than your whole video, but your whole video is also much more concise and also more in depth. I would expect, So I read the script, so it was. But no, yeah, it's something we think about as creators, I suppose. Sorry, I'm laughing because Kid and the Thompsons get to Tower 8, and then I think the werewolf guy, I think his name is Free, or was it Free? Yeah, okay, it was Free. Like he shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm at Tower 2, and they're like, no, this is Tower 8. So I just thought it was funny.
I like how they kind of Erica kind of adds on it later, because he's like Free was supposed to go to like Tower 1 or whatever, but then it's like, he thought he was going to Tower 2, but Tower 8's in a totally different direction.
So he's just
how did he get there?
Yeah. And then, I also remember noticing, because like there was a moment where like someone on DWM side was thinking about, maybe Medusa's one of Medusa's men will get it, and then like one of Medusa's men was like, oh, well, the kids from DDMA will hopefully, like, they're kind of expecting the other side to handle it. I actually, off the top of my head, forget how it did get resolved, but it did. But I just remember noticing that. So anyway, the two get to fight Mosquito. They kind of destroy his 100 years ago form. Then he does the 200 years ago form, and they still manage to throw him around. We do get a glimpse of quote-unquote Eben-sama. Ebion, if you're me in the past and didn't know how to read. Though we find out his name is Noah. And then we see what Mosquito looked like 400 years ago, where he's just like a normal, kind of handsome dude, and then he absolutely destroys Kid and Free. Like, holy shit.
And I guess this is a fight where you could read it as like, because obviously Mosquito's powers are very much, he's stuck in the past. He's always reverting to previous forms. But with Kid, he's looking towards the future because he's like, I don't know, he's got to learn to step out of his father's shadow something.
You're close because Mosquito is even saying, like, Arachnophobia has been like working steadily for 800 years, with this plan. Like they've. These people, but and he's like, oh, Shinigami's just been wasting his time at the school. The world's security has been only manned by graduates of DDMA. So, Mosquito is focused on, again, like the past, like you said, but Kid is Shinigami, like, looking towards the future. Like, he's, the next generation, and, the people, like, the people fighting against Arachnophobia, these, like, who are all, like, old fogies, are at the end of the day like kids, except for Medusa. Well, Medusa's in the form of a kid, but and even she's the little sister of Arachne. So and I guess how I felt, because like Kid, he goes Brew activates, and he I need to check the translation, like, because they keep mentioning the Sanzu lines, and just from my rudimentary knowledge of Japanese, San is 3, and he's got the three things, and I think they've mentioned that there's 3 lines. So like, but I don't know, what I noticed also about it is that like it kind of happens after he gets the shit beat out of him, but also like he's he loses an arm, and he even talks about like how he's lost his symmetry basically, but he's also not like freaking out over it. He's focused on, like, I think Patty was going to transform back from gun to person, and he tells her to stay as a gun and stay safe, basically. Like, he's not, he wasn't controlled by his, like, fear of asymmetry, basically, in this moment. He's mostly focused on protecting his friend, so that's my takeaway, if I, the closest thing I have to a takeaway from this fight.
Well, yeah, because there's also the part where, he, one of the lines connects, and it's pointed out, and he's like, oh, don't tell me about it, or don't get me to look at it, because I might freak out.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it also makes him more symmetrical, because it goes around his whole head instead of just half of his head. So, he was worried about the asymmetry, but in this case, he didn't have to be worried. Unless I guess you could say it makes it, I don't know, I don't know how he would judge it, though, because he's, he's a bit, he's Kid, but that's just what I thought about it, because we don't see his reaction to it at the end of the day. So
I had also assumed that like the Sanzu lines it had some sort of connection to like the Sanzu River, which is like the river Styx, but like Japan.
Yeah. Then he's Death the Kid. Okay, yeah, I was just like San 3, 3 lines. Okay. See, there's translation notes in the back of the volume, so I'll check when we get to the back of the volume, so I'll just, like, randomly bring it up later in, but, because I forgot to check earlier, because I was definitely thinking about it, because I'm glad that they have translation notes. Those are always helpful, because, some things inevitably going to be lost, so having a way to get that back is helpful.
Yeah.
Viz!
Yeah, I definitely do like how they do it at the back of the novel, as opposed to, filling the margins with stuff, which, I mean, like, I guess it kind of, I don't know, maybe it just depends on personal taste.
I mean, Viz, because now you mention it, like, because Viz actually does do that in, like, their weekly releases sometimes, and it's usually for really, like common stuff that anyone who's been in anime for a little while would know already, but it's, like, the fact that they're doing it at all is a marked change from, like, the awful Naruto translation, so, or like Yu Hakusho is also not very good, but yeah. So I forget if I was supposed to take something from this fight or not, but Killick has like a gag battle, I guess, where he fights like a dude who like mixes up various martial arts, and he just like falls into a pattern of like doing a sumo fake out, and Killick just like owns him. And then there's the guy who's like, I can read what my opponent is going to do 20 moves in advance. I just can't do anything about it. That was funny.
Yeah.
Because like, well, yeah, I could read your moves, but I can't dodge them or anything. Like, what? I'm gonna check my notes real quick because I feel like I wrote something down. Okay, I just wrote technology is stupid. That's all I wrote.
Well, it reminds me of I can't think of the specific example, but there definitely have been people who are like, oh, I can predict your moves. I can see, and it's like, oh, it's a super powerful thing. But this is kind of like an inversion of that, because the guy's like, oh, I can see what you can do. I can't stop it.
Yeah.
So even when he gets like punched in the face, he's like, I saw that coming.
Yeah, I guess this was more levity, before the like after some of the serious fighting, like Kid getting brutally maimed, and Ox's stuff before they get to the door and open up the Arachne's chamber, and then we get into some the basically the climax of the arc. God, the art. Like, when they turn into, like, dolls and souls, when he gets hit by madness.
Yeah.
Like, the way, like, I guess it's the details, like, the shading, it really, like, it definitely makes it more striking, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely, with, like, the backgrounds being completely erased, and everything's very sketchy, so it just seems like they're just in, like, this, like, washed out room, and, again, like, with it all being sketchy, it just looks very, distinct.
No, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the ogre, sort of belittles him like, oh, this is just you, you think you're in control with your sarcasm, but, no, you're just pathetic. And then we find out more of his backstory with his brother was a great violinist, and, he was good at the piano, but he didn't want to be overshadowed, so he ran away, he did something different, so he wouldn't be, I guess, hurt. And I guess, like, the ogre also talks about how, like, the path he's on isn't, like, necessarily chosen by him. It's more of like he reduced the other, like he cut away the other paths so he's just going by the the path of least resistance, basically, or the the one closest to what he wants to do without necessarily doing what he wants to do, basically. So he's kind of empty in that sense, I suppose. And there's a moment where Arachne is about to sort of like draw him in it, but Maka saves him. And yeah, he realizes, like, yeah, okay, he does have something he wants to do now. He wants to, be strong and help Maka, basically. So yeah, they keep calling him Giriko-sama, but I thought he would, I swear the text bubble said Saw last time, the chainsaw guy. But yeah, you're right, he's knocked out because of the Thompsons. Oh, that's right, Kid runs into Aben, aka Noah, who killed Mosquito, because Mosquito noticed he was up to some shit. And then, Noah captures Kid in his book, and where he remained pretty much for this rest of the stretch of chapters. So, which that was surprising. So I'm guessing that didn't happen in the anime?
No, this is where the details I remember get kind of fuzzy. But yeah, there was more.
I would just expect that they wouldn't, just because like that's obviously something, a plot line meant to be resolved in the future. So I mean, maybe it did happen, but it was also resolved this arc. I don't know, but I didn't watch any.
Yeah, no,
so.
there are some characters who don't really get kind of their wrap ups or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The ending of the anime very much focuses on like Maka, and it has a much more narrow focus, I guess, because there was just less time to wrap everything up.
Right. Okay, then it looks like we get the conclusion of Mifune versus Black Star. God, the art! I'm just looking through it again. I'm like, God damn! Like the scarf, the way it's almost like painted, maybe, or the way it looks cool. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm noticing more things as I'm rereading again, because Mifune asks, like, are you ready to kill if it comes down to it? And because Soul, I don't think he's even gathered a single soul up to this point. Like, so he's never killed anyone, where Maka's, taken down numerous people on the list.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
right, so like he's even though he's been trying to get strong, he's never like killed it. And Mifune even says like, "Are you ready to kill if it comes down to it?" And at the end of it, like Black Star can't hesitate and or doubt himself. And at the end of it, yeah, he does kill Mifune. He does it. He's no longer has that doubt and hesitation. So that's what I just realized basically. And yeah, he even like, I want to fight him on equal terms. So he asks Tsubaki to be the same kind of like katana, and he ends up.
Yeah, and just like the sequence of them just like slashing at each other, and like the blood is like flying everywhere. It's just very, very shonen, very.
Dude, no, it's it's so these pages are nuts. Like this man drew this. It's great. It's jeez. And the blood, like the detail in the blood, like it's reminding me like of like Kubo did in a weekly manga, but like some of the way he drew the blood during like I remember in Soul Side Arankar, like, but this is like even more. It's a monthly manga, so he's able to do like he has more time with it, of course. But God, it's just like looking at it again, it's just goddamn. But yeah, Tsubaki helps Mifune keep him from falling, and he asks if he could get a little bit closer to the castle, and he ends up vanishing into the wind. Basically, like he kind of like you see like I'm not sure what to describe the particles he kind of fades into that you see in all the air and stuff. But whew. Oh yeah, now I'm at the translations. Why are there no translation notes on this specific volume? The one that mentions the Sanzu lines. Rude. Anyway, okay. Well, there it's at. Did you have any final thoughts on Black Star vs. Mifune, or shall we move on to the last fight of the arc?
I can't think of anything at the moment.
So anyway, yeah, so we get to the Arachne fight. She's sort of, become part of the madness. She says part of her, like, she wants to become the mother of all things, and, like, as, Medusa even sort of contradicts her that, you talk about how you're all about the, you're the mother of weapons, but, you didn't even come up with this. You just, used it. So it's like, she's trying to be the mother of all things when, like, just from the outset she's following after someone else, like, but because she's like, and I guess that's also part of a contradiction, because like, as we talked about with like Mosquito, the past is everything, but at the end of the day it's really that just like they are everything. They're rejecting, like they're pretending that that they're the ones in charge of the past too, because I made the demon with this. You didn't. But they're not going forward either, so they're just like stuck in the middle because they're not recognizing what came before them, where the kids are the new generation basically. So yeah, God, and I just got to the pages where Arachne hits Medusa with the madness attack, and just
yeah,
she looks really creepy.
Yeah, like when it I don't know, it definitely feels very cathartic when you have Medusa, like taunting her, and then it's just the page where she's standing in just like a black void except for like the shadow behind her. So it does like kind of like an inversion sort of, where like the shadow behind her is white, but she's just surrounded in this darkness, and then she's caught in the web.
And Arachne is really creepy on that next page where she's just like really close to Medusa and her teeth. But yeah, Maka is able to cut. She's not being gripped by the madness. She's already sort of accepted and moved on, with the madness. So she's not susceptible to it in the same way. She's just able to cut through it. Like, yeah, they're not landing hits on Arachne, but they're not succumbing to it either. God, and the pages with like the madness affecting everyone, with like the little circles that are the spiders, just pages filled with just spiders.
Yeah.
And then there's the like, I'm just looking at this one of Sid, and freaking out, and just like it's drawn in a sketchier way, and it's just like, what the fuck? You can't do this. You can't make art that looks just like, what the fuck? But yeah, Black Star sort of like, he does this thing where he just like he sits down and leaves it to someone else, like the same pose he did with Tsubaki earlier. He's just like, let them handle it. Kid is saying like, I have to have faith in everyone else. Like they're putting their hopes on Maka. So where Arachne is just like, inflicting madness on everyone. I don't know. I feel like I had something there, but I lost it. And yeah, they come up with the strategy since Arachne's using her webs to her big spider web of influence to distribute the madness, and so they realize like, hey, we can use this against her.
Yeah, and I like the setup where like the piano, it's an instrument that uses a lot of the sound comes from like the resonating strings, so
Right.
it like connects to like the spider web, and
Yes, it even says like, oh, my brother was a violinist, so he also has that connection with string instruments. Like he's before he was like kind of like running, like because he's always been running away from his music because he does of his brother, and here he's like using his connection with his brother to like I guess that's what counters Arachne's like spiderwebs of influence is all these connections by these people like Black Star and Kid were putting their hopes in Maka, Soul's thinking of his brother, like so you have all these connections which are able to overpower Arachne's connections, basically, or use them rather. So, to the point that it's even able to like harm Maka or not Maka, Arachne, and Maka gets her cool dress.
that full page spread of her with like the scythe behind her, and it's got like the madness like shadows just sort of reaching around all over the place. It's very good.
And her dress, like the bow on the back of it, kind of looks like that, but she's got more solid parts too. And I'm just also noticing the border on it. It's good. And yeah, Arachne also is like, she's like, oh, your courage to go after anything, like, oh, it doesn't matter against actual power, but like, oh, this was just my fault. I'm to blame for making myself weak. But it's like, yeah, Maka's even just like, no, I'm just stronger than you. Like, and I think that ability to fight, like that's why she won, is because she did try to fight against all the madness, and yeah, Arachne happened to be weaker, but like they also made her weaker. So, and she was the one who gave up her body. So, but yeah, they get Arachne's soul, their witch soul, and they're looking for Krona. They find Rachel, the little girl who Medusa took over. There's no Medusa in it anymore. Fuck. Medusa took over Arachne's body. She gets a redesign. And she basically reveals, like, yeah, well, she alludes to BJ's actual killer, but, that she says, like, yeah, this was all a trick, ruse. I got what I wanted, basically. Arachne's, taken care of, and now she's got a real body. The monkey and the bear come in. I don't know what to make of them. They're just weird DDOMA guys who, they're doing their mission there to keep Medusa in check. So they come in when Medusa. But yeah, Medusa alludes to Krona's current state. The Krona you know doesn't exist anymore, which we'll get to that. But yeah, so it ends like they did defeat Arachne, but Medusa sort of won the day, in a sense. So anyway, we see Justin Law bump into Saw, Girko, and which, as we find out, they're not exactly like opposed at the end of the day. Or wait, no, maybe I'm thinking we'll talk about it. But anyway, so now Angela and Kim are back with DDWMA, and basically they talk about how like they're able to accept them as witches because Angela's too young to feel the pull of destruction, and Kim is different from other witches, so that's not an issue. So it's like they're basically exceptions, but the rules are still in place that push them against witches in general. So I'm not sure if like there's gonna be more to the conflict, but we'll see. And Angela's like, when's Mifune gonna come and pick me up? Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that the conflict with Mifune ended the way that it did, because up to this point he's been one of the more morally ambiguous kind of. He seems like if any of the antagonists would be redeemable, it would be him. But that's no. He ends up dying too.
Yeah, he's definitely seems kind of like like he was pushed against the DDMA system because he wanted to protect Angela, this child, and but he has to protect him against even though she's blameless. So, but yeah, he ends up being killed. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering if we'll get like something more to him in some fashion. They like there's always way like it's solely like there's ways I could see it happening. But I don't know. Also, I'm not sure again if I can say anything about it, but I thought it was interesting because like there's a scene with Black Star and Soul where Black Star kind of wants to tell like Angela about like, or Soul's like, what, you're gonna tell her about Mifune? And then Soul's just kind of like, he's looking at the sky. I just noticed, like, you know, and that was the whole thing, like earlier with the night sky, but now it's the day sky. So I don't know. Maybe there's more going on that I haven't put together yet. But anyway, they still don't have kid. He's trapped in the Book of Aben, so they're kind of gonna try and find a way to take care of that. Stein and Marie come in, posing like idiots for no reason.
Yeah, it gave me, I don't know, like Team Rocket vibes almost, kind of.
They're such
like,
dorks.
I don't know what this reminds me of, but it's a very...
I mean, I liked it because it's funny, but I'm just like, also, this is how, you know, like, what is it? Hold on, like, the Virgin Detective Conan points a finger and is like, you're the murderer, and they're like the Chad, Stein, and Marie, like they pose like they're dancing, and you're the murderer, like, I don't know. But yeah, Justin Law was the murderer. So I was trying to think earlier, because like I wonder how much this reveal recontextualizes, and I was thinking earlier to the fight where he had against Saw, and, you know, where he was like, he had his earbuds on, and he's like, I talked about how, like, oh, Saw was trying to, like, pull him out from being restrained, you know, where, because, you know, he's using the music, and Justin, like, completely shut him down, and now it turns out that Justin's already gripped by madness, so Saw is trying to, like, you know, make him more like, you know, himself, where Saw is completely trying to be unrestrained because he was lived in restraint for so long. But Justin's deliberately being restrained to try and... Well, no, he's still... I guess maybe... No, he was still using the earbuds and shit even on the side of madness, so I guess not. But, it was a thought I had. Oh, yeah, and Stein and Marie completely shut him down, too. Like, he's, pretty strong with, and Marie, you know, like, we're seeing, like, yeah, these are some strong guys, so, it's cool.
Yeah, it almost seems like the whole thing about Stein succumbing to the madness might kind of be done. Like, there might not be anything more to come of that. I don't know, though. 'Cause I remember the anime doing something very, you know, really leaning into that. So seeing this kind of go seemingly back in the opposite direction is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's a little bit of a time skip. I forget how long it is, but it's, you know, Maka, we see Maka and Soul get their 100th soul, you know, their 99th, like, human soul, but, their 100th soul to become, you know, a death scythe.
I thought it was really interesting, and it was such, like, a minor little reference. But in the fight, the opponent they have uses an attack called 9-inch nails, which, obviously, that's a reference, but it's interesting in, like, it also kind of ties into something with the anime, because, what's the name? The guy. Taku Iwasaki, one of the tracks in the Soul Eater soundtrack is called Resonance, and it's... I don't know if it's, like, at all inspired. It probably is. It would seem like a weird coincidence. But it's like when Digi did his video on Taku Iwasaki's work, like, Resonance sounds very similar to a track by 9-inch Nails. So it seems like it's like a multi-layered reference, which I don't know if that was intentional or not, if it was like a nod to like, hey, this is what the composer did, or if it was just, I don't know, there.
It might just be a reference to the music that happens to, you know, have that other connection. Because, like, the name...
Well, I also know that the attack, it mentioned in the translator's notes, that it was something that had, like, multiple meanings. So this was one potential interpretation.
Gotcha. Well, because, like, I was just going to, you know, point out what else was mentioned in the translator notes, because I caught the Sadoko one, which is a ring reference, and then for AD is, you know... Well, that one I should have caught, because, like... She's obviously like a Freddy Krueger, like just design wise with the claws and the striped shirt, and I think David mentions that something about like killing. She kills them inside nightmares. That's Freddy Krueger, you know. But that's what I remembered. So but yeah, I didn't know about the 9-inch nails in the soundtrack. So that's interesting coincidence, if not a direct reference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but earlier Black Star was mentioned how he's maybe grown up a little bit, and now he's like he gets in a sparring match with Patty, and he even says I'll lower myself to your level just this once. Like, he's doing what he refused to do against Maka, basically. So he's definitely changed, you know. And then he loses because he like stops paying attention and gets kicked in the nuts, like idiot. Even Angela bullies him. So yeah, Stein and Marie come back, and they talk about, you know, they found BJ's killer, Justin. So, okay, yeah, I wasn't misremembering, because yeah, now we see Justin's with Noah, Saw, and see, actually, and I didn't notice this before because like earlier when Justin showed up with Saw, or like he had the big like I don't know, clown guy behind. I don't know what that is. You know what I'm talking about though. The monstrous looking one. Yeah, it behind him, and I was like, okay, that's weird. I should have picked up on that. That something was weird there. But yeah, this new antagonist group. See, now I'm really regretting how I split up the reading because like here's this new antagonist group that would have been a perfect way to start the final stretch. But oh well. Oh yeah, so there was a bit of a little arc with Maka and Soul learning to fly, and Maka keeps like she wants to be angel wings because she's an angel, she's a little angel, right? But Soul pictures like really like closer to devil wings, if anything, and they can't fly at all. We sort of see everyone's like normal days, and then we get Kid who's captured still and being interrogated. We also get introduced to Gopher, who we'll see more of shortly. So yeah, Kim and Maka go off flying on a mission. Maka's been warned that that everyone's after her because she's now she's got a death sight, but her soul perception abilities, of course. And yeah, like the angel wings, they work better than the other wings, but because she can kind of, but she can't go very fast. Like Kim's even like, really, this is as fast as you can go, and she's like, yeah. But even as a death scythe, they haven't figured everything out yet. Then Gopher comes in and he's completely able to outmaneuver her in the air.
I think this is an interesting fight in that it, now that they can fly and now that it's in the air, it really changes the dynamics of, kind of what can be done.
Yeah.
And you definitely get a lot of the shots of Maka. Obviously actually it's also kind of interesting. Because with Kim, it was very witch-like that her weapon could kind of become this almost like a broom sort of thing that she could fly on. And now, I guess you could say there's a little bit of like that, like witch influence kind of. I mean,
the weapons were at the end of the day made by witches, at the start. Yeah. So, and from witches, especially in Maka's case. So that's fair. Oh, actually, okay, no, never mind.
But yeah, there's just a lot of, like Maka, now that she's able to kind of like stand on the weapon and also fight with it, it's just like an interesting...
The spread of her with her, like, the real wings, and Maka's just, like, looking all, like, tough, and I'm like, yeah good. Maka's good. And, of course, the character moment, before Soul was, like when... first he was thinking of, like, her being mean when he came up with the devil wings, and then he's just kind of, like, forcing himself to use, like, Maka's image, and then when he sees her, like, she's like, what am I supposed to do with these little angel wings, huh? Like, give me real wings. Like, when he sees Maka as she actually is, they're finally able to, like, come up with a suitable, like, weapon design, basically. And she's able to, like, fight properly now.
I did think it was also kind of interesting from the perspective of Maka's character, because, she kind of had this perception of like, oh yeah, I'm such an angel, like I want to look like this or whatever, or kind of, I want our weapon to like look cute and pretty, and then she's just like, you know what, nah, that doesn't work, fuck that.
Yeah, and I guess it's also interesting because like Gopher is very much like Haku to Noah, where Noah's the Zabuza kind of, where he's like this tool who, he wants to be of complete service to Noah, and Noah doesn't care. But at the same time, he's doing it out of, like, personal reasons, because he cares a lot about Noah, and, there's the big, like, energy ball that Maka cuts, and it looks like a broken heart.
Yeah.
When Gopher fails. And, and of course, this relationship is, like, completely different from Maka and Soul, where, like, even though Soul is literally, like, Maka's weapon, it's, like, how they feel and connect to each other directly relates to, like, their fighting capabilities together. Like, it's, it's not a master and tool, they're mutual friends, as weapon and wielder. So, once they sort of get their shit together, Gopher stands no chance. And Noah shits on Gopher, like, as a failure, and Gopher gets mad, like, oh, Noah doesn't care about me, when, if he was a real tool, then he wouldn't care one way or the other. But, well, that's yet to be resolved. And I like how Kid's immediately like, oh, what? Like, because Gopher comes in and Kid's like, oh, what? Did Maka kick your ass? Like, he fucking nails it. Now back to Krona. So yeah, Killick and Kim go off on a mission. Oh no, wait, maybe I'm thinking ahead. Oh no, yeah, it's Kim and Killick run into like a Medusa's clown, her man-made one, where Black Star runs into Krona. I mean, I'm not sure how much I have to say about the fight, because it's, again, definitely setting up, well, it's like, establishing Krona's current state. They make dick jokes. God damn it. I did like what, like, there's because Krona fights with, like, and Ragnarok fight with, like, sound, so Black Star counters it by yelling even louder.
Yeah, that was very in character.
And he starts bringing up, well, like, he brings up Maka, and Krona doesn't know, but then, like, a little bit later, Krona starts mentioning everybody else's names without provocation, so it's like, Krona definitely, like, remembers and knows on some level, but also doesn't, because, Medusa is just completely, like, turned Krona into, like, I guess a tool, for her, science and experimentation, so, I just want Krona to be happy.
Yeah.
But again, we don't really get, like, resolution to that in a stretch, so...
I also thought it was kind of interesting, when Black Star, when they were fighting, and Black Star was like, you betrayed everybody for this? Like, this is as strong as you got? Like, you didn't even get...
Yeah, like, he's become stronger on his own path of the warrior god, the Bushin, than Krona has, as, someone who's supposed to become a Kishin, and, like, So yeah, Black Star does not approve, like, yeah. And I guess, it makes sense because Krona's not doing it of their own will. Krona's doing it because of Medusa, basically, or Black Star is doing what he wants, so...
Yeah. Good contrast.
Yeah. And also, you did get... While this is going on, you do get a bit of a fight between Justin and Medusa, which gets into...
I do think it's kind of interesting how Ohkubo can kind of use the madness in the same way that, like, Kishimoto would do the Genjutsu fake outs.
Yeah, the madness is definitely, like, I guess there's no strict rule set to it, which, because it's supposed to be, beyond, the normal stretches of a human mind, so it makes sense. So it's, it's able to be super versatile, and yeah, he can do a lot with it. It's cool, because he can come up with all these cool, like, fighting styles and techniques. Like, Justin does his own madness technique, yeah, which is probably what you're mentioning, is, like, with the guillotine on the witch, and yeah, it's cool. Okay, so sorry, the one joke, because the bear guy comes in to interrupt, and he's like, what, Justin, how could you betray us? What about all the times we were talking to each other? And you just see, like, him and Justin, but Justin 100% has his earbuds in all the time, so he's, like, not even actually listening. So, I just thought it was funny. And even in the fight, Justin's like, I'm sorry, did you just say something?
Yeah, because the bear was like, oh, you used to listen to me all the time, and we'd talk for hours, and Justin's just like, I've never heard a word you said.
But yeah, the fighting just sort of dissipates. Also, and anyway, we go back to school, and there's a bunch of girls who are, like, confessing to Soul because, please be my partner. And, like, well, Soul even says, like, oh, because it's he's got, like, love letters falling out. It's supposed to look, like, romantic.
Yeah.
But then, like, he's like, Soul says, oh, it's got nothing to do with sex appeal, but then, what he says something, or something else gets said, because Maka's getting envious because she's not getting anything like any requests. She's the one who made Soul into a death scythe, but she's not getting attention.
Yeah, I definitely think the whole, partnerships as sort of like romance can definitely be a subtext you read into the... No, I mean,
yeah,
it very easily lends itself to that.
Yeah,
and
like,
here's
I wouldn't
an example where it directly kind of plays with it.
Right, like, I wouldn't read it into Kid.
Yeah, definitely not with all of them.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, like Krona and Ragnarok? Like, is
right,
that...
Wait, what is Ragnarok even? And, like, oh, so Kid is polygamous with the sisters, right? No, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. And then, yeah, and, like, with Ox, it's obviously the romantic partner is Kim, who's another, wielder, not a weapon, or, so it's like, yeah, so it's, but in this case, it's definitely, like, with Soul and Maka,
I guess there's only a degree to which the series kind of plays with it.
Yeah, and it's definitely doing that, at least in this case, because and mostly, especially playing it up for comedy, because,
Yeah. Oh, I think, I don't remember how the cutaways worked, but there was also the resolution to the fight with Black Star and Chrono, where Mizune and Erica show up. And I really like the part where Erica's like, do I really have to get involved? I mean, it could even be 9-on-1 and we wouldn't stand a chance. And Black Star is just fending everybody off. And then, of course, Erica is the one who gets captured because nothing ever goes well for her. She's just like, I really want to go home. There's that panel where she's just very distraught.
The fourth frog thing, frog girl, like, very sad. I was trying to say, like, poor thing and poor frog girl at the same time, and they got mixed up. That was weird.
Poor frog thing.
Frog thing. I don't know. Also, Blair's hanging out with the two witches, who were at the spies, which I guess, since Arachnophobia is gone, they're no longer, a risk. So, I don't know. Like, are they going to reveal that Blair was actually a witch the whole time? Even though I don't... But no, that didn't work the first time. So, but did she ruse them? Like, because she's pretty strong, like, even though she's apparently just a cat. So, I don't know. Blair's, like, such a non-thing, even though she's, like, one of the first characters to shut up and was kind of there at first for some reason.
Yeah.
But, okay, and I did like the gag where, Gopher comes in to beat up Kid again. He's like, yeah, this is fine. And then he realizes that his mouth is not actually symmetrical and there's a giant 2-page spread dedicated to it. And he's like, no, help me. Poor Kid. Burdened with his curse of hating things asymmetrical. Oh, yeah, and see, like, these chapters I was thinking, like, oh, maybe we should only discuss up to, like, this point. Because, like, now we're definitely starting to build into the next arc. But we're also at the end of the discussion. Like, yeah, there's a girl who's following around Maka for some reason. I don't think we find out why. Shinigami gathered, like, they come up with a plan to rescue Kid, where they're going to use witches to sort of link one of the replica books of Avon to the one that Noah has. We see that there's something fucking else horrifying in the book that Kid noticed. He's like, oh shit, that would be horrible if it was released on the world. Like, it's just an inky blackness.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where the reading ends. Because yeah, you're right, they were really short chapters. Like, I thought they were the same like 70 and 71 were the same chapter. Because they go by so quick. But, so yeah, that's where the reading ends. Again, hopefully you still enjoyed the discussion in spite, like, yeah, I definitely think I should have split these up differently, but I haven't read the series before, so I didn't know any better. Maybe I think I had asked my server for input, but I didn't ask, like I usually ask in the comment section of the Nen Show, where there's, like, way more people. So in retrospect, I probably should have done that, and maybe someone would have been like, oh, maybe you could do it like this instead, because, it definitely would have been benefited by it being only 3 episodes instead of 4, but, hopefully you enjoyed the discussion regardless.
It's also kind of tricky with Soul Eater, because it's not just, like, big arc, big arc, big arc. There's a lot of, like, little in-between sections that kind of break it up.
Yeah, so, hindsight, oh well. But anyway, so next time we're going to finish Soul Eater. We'll be reading chapters 72 to 113, so it'll be the end of the series, basically. Next time we'll also have the start of the old school poll, where you will be choosing the order in which we read our picks. We'll be revealing what we're reading next. So here's how it's going to go. Soul Eater, the final, is going to be next time. Then we're just going to do 1 episode of Boruto, because in between blocks we do all the catch-up, so... For everything that wasn't in the previous block, basically. So, like,
and there's nothing else we can catch up to at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I mean, we could read some of Fairy Tail Century Quest, but I think we're just gonna wait till that ends if we do it at all. And that because Mathwiz is already in pain thinking about it. But yeah, there's no Hunter x Hunter. The Succession War isn't finished. Wano and One Piece isn't finished. Burn the Witch hasn't started yet, but there was announced that's a thing, so I'd love to read that at some point. But so yeah, we only have Boruto, so we're just gonna do 1 episode of Boruto, reading the Scarlet Spring and those 10 chapters, and then just like a chunk of Boruto. So sort of continuing on from the Naruto discussion, and then we'll be on the old school series, which we'll reveal the picks of next time. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.